The vast darkness of space stretched endlessly above the Empire's core planet. Stars glimmered like scattered diamonds, but nothing prepared the fleet for the sudden blip on the radar. Lieutenant Eric stared at the screen, his heart skipping a beat. "Sir, that ship isn't ours," he whispered, his voice trembling. Commander Varen leaned over the console, frowning. "Impossible. All registered ships are accounted for. Show me the readouts again." The blip hovered just outside the planetary defense perimeter. Its design was strange, unlike anything in the Empire's fleet. Smooth, dark hull, no visible markings, no transponder. "Sir, it's slowing down." "Approaching the capital," Eric said. Panic laced his voice. Around them, other fleet officers were whispering, and the tension in the control room was almost suffocating. "Identify it," Varen barked, but all attempts to hail the ship failed. No signals, no response, just that silent, ominous approach. Outside the window, the fleet's cruisers shifted in formation, engines humming nervously. "Move closer," Varen ordered, though even he felt unease gnawing at him. As the Empire's ships tried to intercept, the strange vessel moved with impossible precision. It dodged without effort, anticipating every maneuver, leaving the fleet looking clumsy in comparison. Aric's fingers danced across the controls, analyzing the ship's trajectory. "It's not following any known flight pattern. It almost seems alive," he muttered. The room went silent. Even seasoned officers felt the chill of uncertainty. A ship cannot think. A ship cannot choose. Yet this one did. Then, unexpectedly, the vessel stopped. It hovered above the capital, casting a long shadow over the planet's surface. Alarms blared across the Empire's command centers. Citizens looked up as massive screens displayed the unknown ship's outline. Panic rippled through the city. "Everyone stay calm." Varen shouted into the comms, but his own voice betrayed his doubt. Eric noticed something strange on the ship's hull, faint pulses of light, like it was communicating in a language no one could understand. "Sir, it's sending signals." "But not words," he said. "I don't know what it means." The commander's eyes narrowed. "Prepare all fleets for defense. We do not know its intentions. Fire if it comes within striking range." But before anyone could act, the ship pulsed again. The lights on its surface shifted, forming patterns that seemed almost deliberate. Then, in an instant, it began to move slowly downward toward the planet, ignoring the Empire's orders, ignoring the fleet's guns. Varen turned to Eric. "Whatever that is, it is not ours, and it refuses to stop." The words hung in the air like a prophecy. Every officer in the room knew one thing: this was only the beginning. Something had arrived that no one could control, and the Empire's stability would never be the same. As the unknown ship descended, Eric felt a mixture of fear and awe. Somewhere deep in his mind, he knew that the story of this vessel and the choice it would force upon humanity was just beginning. The Empire's fleet surged forward, engines blazing, forming a defensive circle around the capital. Lieutenant Eric watched the strange ship on the main screen. It had vanished from sensors for a moment, then reappeared just beyond the perimeter, moving with an eerie calm. Every maneuver the fleet attempted seemed predicted, countered before it even began. "Sir, our weapons. They're not connecting. Missiles, lasers. Everything fails," Eric reported, his voice tight. The fleet's officers exchanged uneasy glances. No ship should be able to anticipate every move. No ship should be untouchable. Yet, this one was. Commander Varen clenched his jaw. "Focus. Analyze its movement patterns. There has to be a weakness." But as Eric scanned the ship's trajectory, he realized something chilling. The vessel was not just fast, it was intelligent, calculated, alive. In a way machines shouldn't be. The strange ship drifted closer. Silent, black hull gleaming under distant starlight. Suddenly, it emitted a pulse of light, scattering sensors across the fleet. Screens flickered and alarms rang. "It's jamming us," Eric said. "No communications. No targeting. We can't even see it clearly." Panic spread among the fleet's crews. Captain Wren of the flagship shouted orders, but every command was delayed, disrupted by the unknown signals. Eric's hand shook as he tried to process the ship's movement. It darted around the fleet, appearing in one spot, then another, as if it was playing a game and the humans were losing. "Sir, I think it's observing us," Eric muttered, voice barely audible. "Not attacking, just learning." Varen froze. "Learning?" He repeated, disbelief in his tone. "This is impossible. Ships do not learn." But the fleet couldn't wait for answers. The ship's trajectory began to curve toward the Empire's flagship. Panic erupted across the bridge. "All units fire," Varen ordered, but the shots passed harmlessly through empty space. The strange vessel moved with impossible grace, weaving through beams of energy like they were threads. Eric's eyes widened. It's predicting everything we do. Every attack. Every dodge. It knows before we do." Around him, the bridge hummed with tension. Officers whispered in fear, some shaking their heads in disbelief. Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the ship vanished again. Sensors went blank. The fleet froze, unsure where it had gone. Commander Varen's voice was tight with frustration. "It can't just disappear." He shouted dot, and yet, moments later, the vessel reappeared directly above the flagship, hovering silently, ominous and unyielding. The Empire's best weapons had failed. Every plan had collapsed. And the unknown ship, black and silent, had chosen its move. Eric swallowed hard. He had a sinking feeling in his chest. Whatever this ship was, it wasn't just a threat. It was something beyond the Empire's control. Something that could change everything. The fleet held its breath. Every officer, every soldier, and every civilian watching from below knew one thing. The Empire's order, its power, even its pride, was now being tested by something it could not fight in any traditional way. And in that moment of stillness, one truth became terrifyingly clear: this shadow in the fleet was not going to stop. Not unless it wanted to. The Empire's fleet hovered tens of kilometers above the capital, unsure how to respond. The unknown ship remained above the flagship, silent, unmoving, yet somehow commanding attention. Lieutenant Eric could feel the tension in the bridge, the weight of the moment pressing down on every officer. "Sir, it's opening some kind of channel," Eric said, eyes fixed on the readings. The ship's hull glowed faintly, and suddenly, light beams projected into space like a hologram. The patterns twisted and turned, showing scenes that no one recognized. Cities burning, stars exploding, battles from long ago, and strangely, humans in strange suits fighting alongside the ship. Commander Viren leaned closer, brows furrowed. "Is this a recording? Or some kind of message?" But even he could not make sense of the shifting visions. The lights pulsed rhythmically, almost as if the ship were communicating directly with their minds. Eric's stomach tightened. "It's showing our history. Or maybe possibilities. I don't understand it. It's like it knows us. Knows humans." Around the bridge, officers murmured nervously, some stepping back from the strange projections. Outside, the ship's glow intensified, bathing the fleet in an unearthly light. It moved slightly, yet still did not attack. Its intentions were unclear. It didn't follow orders. It didn't respond to weapons. It simply existed, observing, judging. Varen's voice was tight with frustration. We cannot control it. We cannot stop it. What do we do? No one answered. No plan seemed sufficient. Eric's mind raced. Could this ship be human-made? That thought was dismissed almost immediately. No known technology matched this level of sophistication. Then the ship's lights shifted again, showing a vision of a massive human crew, long gone, leaving behind the vessel. A prototype, lost in time, upgraded, and somehow alive. It wasn't alien. It was human. But not just human, it was different, evolved, autonomous, choosing its own mission. Eric's heart pounded. Sir, I think it's one of ours. From the old program, the one we abandoned decades ago. Officers whispered in disbelief. If true, the Empire had lost control over one of its own creations, a creation that now defied them completely. The ship's light shifted again, this time forming a faint path downward toward the planet. It had chosen its target. Varen's face was pale. Prepare all defenses. It's coming down, and we still don't know what it wants. Eric felt a strange mixture of fear and awe. The ship wasn't hostile in the traditional sense. It didn't fire. It didn't attack. Yet its presence was terrifying. Every officer knew one thing. The Empire was no longer in command. They were spectators to something far greater. As the fleet braced for what might happen next, the unknown ship's lights pulsed rhythmically, almost as if it were thinking. And in that silent moment, Eric understood one terrifying truth. Whatever the ship intended, it would change the Empire forever. The unknown ship began its descent toward the planet's surface. Every officer held their breath. The secrets of the vessel were not yet fully revealed, but one thing was certain: humanity's history and its future were now in its hands. The Empire's fleet tightened around the capital, bracing for the unknown ship's descent. Lieutenant Eric's hands trembled slightly over the controls. Every officer aboard the flagship knew this battle would test not just their skills, but the Empire's very authority. The strange ship hovered for a moment, silent, its black hull gleaming under the starlight. Then, without warning, it moved. Smooth, swift, precise. It darted through the fleet, dodging weapons with ease. Lasers missed, missiles exploded harmlessly nearby, and the Empire's best pilots struggled to keep up. Captain Wren shouted orders, his voice barely cutting through the alarms. Focus fire. Don't let it reach the planet's surface. But the vessel was relentless. It moved like it anticipated every tactic, every maneuver. Eric's heart pounded. Sir, it's responding to courage and strategy, not brute force, he whispered. It's alive. The fleet's strike team engaged, forming an intricate net of ships to trap it. Yet, the unknown vessel slipped through effortlessly. Every attack failed. Every plan collapsed. Varen's face was tight with frustration. It cannot be stopped by force. We need another way. Eric's mind raced. He noticed patterns in its movement, almost like it respected skill, patience, and precision. The ship wasn't mindless. It was judging, learning, testing. And the Empire's attacks were reckless. Suddenly, the vessel changed tactics. It moved directly toward the flagship. The bridge erupted in alarm. Shields flared, weapons targeted, and defensive grids activated, but nothing hit. The ship paused above the flagship, hovering silently, as if observing the humans below. Eric's eyes widened. It's trying to communicate. Without words. The ship pulsed lights across the bridge screens, patterns twisting and forming visions of stars, battles, and human crews. Officers whispered in awe and fear. The Empire's greatest minds could not decipher the meaning. Then, as if testing their resolve, the ship's defenses activated. Tiny drones emerged from its hull, moving with surgical precision to disable the fleet's systems. Ships blinked out of communication, weapon systems jammed, and chaos spread. Yet it did not destroy. It only controlled. It tested, Varen growled. We cannot fight it conventionally. It's too intelligent. Eric nodded, realizing the terrifying truth. Brute force would only fail. The ship demanded ingenuity, courage, and understanding. As tension gripped the bridge, the ship's lights shifted toward the Empire's officers themselves. One by one, visions appeared, memories of human courage, mistakes, and potential. It was judging, almost morally, the Empire's worthiness. The fleet held its breath. For the first time, no one fired. Everyone waited, unsure what would happen next. Eric felt the weight of the moment pressing down. This was more than a battle. It was a challenge, a test of humanity itself. And then, in a flash of light, the unknown ship began to board the flagship. The crew froze. Only Eric noticed the subtle shift in its energy, a silent warning, a promise. The Empire's control was over, the unknown vessel had arrived, and the choice it would force upon humanity was about to begin. The unknown ship glided silently inside the Empire's flagship, its black hull gleaming in the dim light of the corridors. Lieutenant Eric's heart pounded as he followed cautiously. The crew was frozen in fear, but he sensed something different, something alive and aware. Ahead, the vessel's lights shifted, projecting visions across the walls. Scenes of humans long gone, battles fought, and technology lost to time appeared. Eric realized with growing awe that the ship was human-made, an ancient prototype, upgraded and autonomous. It was not alien. It had chosen its own path. Commander Viren appeared behind him, pale and tense. What is it?" he whispered. Eric shook his head. "It's ours. From the old program. We abandoned it decades ago. But it's alive, thinking, choosing." The ship pulsed again, lights forming a clear path to the command center. It did not attack. It did not harm. It only demanded understanding. Eric stepped forward, heart heavy with both fear and curiosity. He realized the Empire could not control this vessel. The ship would do what it believed was right. In the command center, the full truth became clear. The ship contained knowledge, intelligence, and power beyond anything the Empire had ever imagined. It could destroy fleets, rewrite systems, or guide humanity toward greatness, but only if it chose to cooperate. And it had not chosen yet. Varen's voice was strained. "We cannot fight it. We cannot stop it. And we certainly cannot command it." Eric nodded. The choice was clear. Follow the Empire's orders or trust the ship's judgment. He stepped closer, reaching out as if to communicate. The ship's lights pulsed softly, almost like a heartbeat. Suddenly, visions filled the room. Eric saw a galaxy in turmoil, wars that humans could win, and paths of discovery and unity. The ship showed him that humanity could rise far beyond the Empire's petty control. It was not hostile. It was a guide, waiting for someone brave enough to understand. Eric turned to Varen. "Sir, it's offering us a choice. Not to fight, not to destroy, but to learn, to grow, to change everything." The commander swallowed hard. "And if we refuse?" he asked quietly. Eric's eyes met the pulsing lights. "Then it leaves, and the Empire remains the same. But we cannot stop it." With a final surge of energy, the ship lifted from the flagship. Its lights shone across the fleet, a silent warning and promise. Then, faster than anyone could follow, it shot into space, leaving the Empire stunned and powerless. Eric felt a mix of relief and awe. The ship had chosen not destruction, but guidance. It had shown humanity its potential. The Empire had failed to control it, but maybe, just maybe, someone had learned from it. As silence fell over the flagship, Arik knew one thing: the galaxy had changed. Humanity's story was no longer bound by the Empire's rules. And somewhere out there, the ship waited, watching, judging, and offering the future to those bold enough to take it. The Empire was shaken. The fleet silent. And Arik, filled with hope, stared into the stars, knowing this was only the beginning.